Welcome back to another episode of Team Building Tips with Dan Talbot on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll be right back with Dan's tips, but first, let's hear from our podcast sponsors. We want to thank the good folks at Wall of Fame by Vital Signs for their sponsorship. You know, they are on a mission to bring your school's legacy to life. They've got a variety of interactive touchscreen consoles and an entire library of templates to help recognize the athletic achievements of your students, both past and present. Let them help you showcase your school's diverse history and your proudest moments, and go to vitalsignswalloffame.com. You can also call them at 614-981-3589 or email them at sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com. That's sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com. We also want to thank Sideline Interactive for their support. Sideline Interactive's indoor scoring tables and video boards can generate $10,000 or more every year, while they also create the ultimate game day experience for your athletes. Go to sidelineinteractive.com or call 832-786-0302 to schedule a live web demo. You can also email them at sales@sidelineinteractive.com and see exactly what their fantastic products can do for you. That's sales@sidelineinteractive.com. We also want to say thank you to Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. You can find out more about what Hometown Ticketing can do for you and your school by going to hometownticketing.com and talk to their experts. Hometown Ticketing, simple and easy online ticketing. We also want to thank Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack. Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack are a quick, easy, and affordable way for you to collect comprehensive data that allows you to evaluate and improve your entire athletic program. Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack also connects you with the 95% of the parents and the student athletes who really love your program, and it gives them a voice to help demonstrate the importance that a positive athletic experience has for them. Go to athleticsurveys.com and check out their testimonials, and then give them a call at 1-800-738-6466, or you can email them at info@athleticsurveys.com to get started. If you've never used a survey to take the pulse of your parents or your student athletes, you're really missing out. Talk to the folks at Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack and let them help you take your athletic program from good to great. We also want to thank Huddle. Remember, at Huddle, we power sports. Over 200,000 teams use Huddle to help their teams play better using video and analytics. Huddle's the complete performance platform. They have online tools, smart cameras like the Huddle Focus. There's always been analytics, but there's a whole lot more. Huddle is also built for every level of play, from club and youth teams all the way through high school and college programs. And even the pros use Huddle to help their teams play at the highest level. You're in pretty good company with over 6 million users, including your student athletes. If you want to find out more about what Huddle can do for you and your program and how your school can become a Huddle school, go to huddle.com and talk to their professionals. Remember, at Huddle, we power sports. We also want to say thanks to Final Forms, the industry leader in forms and registration. But Final Forms is more than just forms. Final Forms is a team, it's technology, and it provides schools with compliance, communication, and risk management solutions. Final Forms can help your stakeholders with things like mobile accessibility, and it has reminders for parents about policies, about physicals, and all the forms that go with athletics. Final Forms can also help with team communication and attendance, and even certification management for coaches. And for ADs, Final Forms can help with eligibility, with rosters, and all the reports that come across your desk. And it does this with secure language translation and ADA compliance. You know, it's time for you to talk to a team that's walked in your shoes. To take the next steps and find out what Final Forms can do for you, go to finalforms.com/Jake. Once again, go to finalforms.com/Jake to get started on the Final Forms team. Welcome back, everyone, to Team Building Tips with Dan Talbot on the Educational AD Podcast. For new listeners, Dan is the County Athletic Director for Polk County, Florida, oversees a very large district and a lot of schools, also very active at the state and national level. And every Thursday, he shares a team building tip on the podcast. So, Dan, what do you have for us on episode number 2?
All right. So this is, when you talk about building a team, you kind of got different levels. So my first one was talking about, trying to make your life easier as an athletic director. But now in today's episode, we're going to talk about team building tips, getting all your coaches on board, which is a very difficult task. One thing I can recommend to you is coaches don't like meetings. When you have a all sport meeting in the fall, when you get back to school right before the summer, I can promise you your baseball and softball coach, if you do it in the spring like us in Florida, they're not listening to you. They're there because they got to be there. So I would recommend, breaking your meetings up into fall, winter, and spring sports like we do here in Florida. So that way it's going to be more intimate time with your fall coaches than your winter sport coaches and your spring coaches. You can spend more time in really nurturing them coaches because their season's on the forefront. That is fresh on their mind. They're worried about their seasons. And then you can worry about the winter coaches. But the one thing I can recommend, and you cannot go wrong with this, is you have to be visible at their practices. You have to, whether it's for 5 minutes, whether it's when you're on your way home, just cut through the gym and just walk through the gym during volleyball practice and wave at the coaches and say hi. One thing I did when I was at a school in Florida, when I was a school-based athletic director, and this is what made me think of it, and it caused an area of concern. So I went out to soccer practice one night because we had community coaches. So they had a practice at night under the lights after football. And because football and soccer overlap here in Florida, I went out to practice and time stopped. Practice stopped. The coaches stopped coaching. The kids stopped practicing. The kids were kind of giggling and whispering and laughing and pointing. The coaches came running over. And the first thing the coach asked me, goes, "Is everything all right?" And I said, "No, it's not." I said, I came out here to watch you practice and no one's practicing. And the first thing he said to me goes, "Coach, I'm so sorry." He says, "Usually when the AD came out, it was something bad." And that made me realize that right then in that moment that I had to win the coaches over and go out to practice to be with the kids and meet with the kids, and go to practice when there's good things. I say, "Coach, I can't change the past, but this is how I operate. I come out because I want to learn something from you because I think you can teach me how to be a better athletic director and a better coach and see how you run things." I said, "If it's something really bad, it'll never be in front of the kids. And if it's, it'll always be done, in my office where I'm coming to you. It would never be done in the middle of practice. I'm here because I want to watch you coach. I want to get to know your kids." And that right there, just going out that one evening, my boys soccer coach was all in. And it's amazing because to this day, I keep in contact with his son, who was the goalie on the team that went to Western Michigan, now flies planes up in Alaska. And so just by me going out one evening, I built a long-lasting relationship with my coach and his son, who was a student athlete on the team, who now flies planes in Alaska, where I graduated high school from. So it was pretty exciting, but just one instance. So you got to be visible at practices, and go there for the good reasons. Go to visit just to wave. Like I said, even if it's you're on your way home, cut through the gym, wave at your basketball coach, or cut through the field, park in different areas, but be visible to your coaches in the positive ways so they know you support them. Because you'll be amazed if you talk to other coaches, having them never see their athletic director at practices or events. I mean, even as a district athletic director here in Polk County, I make sure I go to every county championship and go into the swim meet, and there's 21 schools at the swim meet. I hear the same thing. "Oh my God, I'm so glad you came. I can't believe you're here." And like, why wouldn't I be? And that will help you build your team to get them on board with you.
Again, just another very important lesson for anyone listening. It's one of those things that you say, boy, I wish I knew this, when I was first starting out. And, I had occasion to be AD at a number of different schools. And I think it was probably more accidental. I wanted to make sure that, nobody was complaining about the AD. I would go to those same events, but I'd hear those same comments, boy, we've never had the athletic director here before. And, two schools in particular in Florida where I was at, I was hired, this was years ago, to come in and basically kind of clean up a mess. My final job was just trying to stay out of the way. It was, the school, it was a great school, great tradition. But I did something that I should have done years and years ago. I had every single coach come in. I started the job July 1st, and I sent him an email. Hey, I'm Jake, want to meet you, come on in. And head coach, assistant coach, you name it, community coach. And almost all of them came in, about 80 people over the summer. And the very first thing I said to them was, how can I make your job more fun? And, I have some Hall of Fame coaches on that staff. And almost everybody said, no one's ever said that before. And it was one of the, best experiences we've ever had. And it really helped me, as you said, win those coaches over. Hey, I'm here for you. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but
no, but
to your point,
but it goes back to our language we use, how can we, because when you start saying I and you, people get defensive. You need to turn your paperwork. Hey, we need to get our paperwork in. We're going to get ourselves into a situation with our physical and consent form. We need, just simple language tips that is, standard communication skills. It goes a long way, because you're still getting your point across. You're still getting what you need. But when you say you need to get all your kids' forms in, or you're going to get in trouble, a lot of you just said, hey, we need to figure out a plan to get all these kids' forms in, because we're gonna get ourselves in a situation we can't get out of. And that's buy-in. We're on the same team. Like, look, if you go down, I go down. So we're in this together. And it's simple communication language skills.
Yeah. I love your point about the coaches' meetings and having the seasonal ones, sports specific ones. They're a little more intimate. Now, at the same time, I think, I'm going to guess you're probably the same as me. We always tried to preach that, hey, we are, this athletic department, we are one team.
Yes.
How do you find that balance, or what are some things that you did to, remind, I'll pick on football since I was a football coach. I know you were too. How do you remind that football coach that it's not, we'll talk global, just Polk County football, it's Polk County athletics. What are some ways that you create that, I hate to use the word culture, but that full awareness that, hey, we're all part of a team?
I think there is a time and place for coaches meetings. And I think there's a time and place where the whole group comes together. But I think it's more towards the end of the year when there's no stress and we're all excited. The sports seasons are over and we can get together, because the thing is, and I hate to say it in Polk County, but it's one of those deals where our football coaches, man, they're prima donnas, man. The world's ending every day. You know what I mean? Like, if he had to walk 10 feet, if he had to park in a different parking spot next to his office, he's going to complain. But I think getting those coaches together towards the end of the year and getting to know each other as people, because I think we tend to label people as, that's the football coach.
Right.
And we all know what that means. Or that's the basketball coach. Good luck getting into his gym. So there's a time and place, I think, towards the end of the year where you bring your coaches in, reach out to a sponsor. I mean, everybody wants time in front of coaches and athletic directors. So someone in your community will front the bill for a lunch and they can get 10 to 15 minutes with them and just get to know each other as people, because that's where the respect factor is going to come in. And then encourage some of your coaches, to go to other sporting events. I know, particularly here in Lakeland, Bill Castle is a football legend. He was the FIAAA coach of the century. And those kids love it when he's sitting in the stands at basketball games. Mm-hmm. And he becomes Coach Castle then. He doesn't become the football coach. So there is a time and place that you need to get all your coaches together so they learn to, but when you're meeting in the years talking about, hey, this change, this rule change, this change. I think that's when you can go seasonal, but get them together at the end of the year and thank them and feed them, because there's nothing better to a way to a coach's heart, male or female, is through food, free food in their bellies.
No, you're absolutely right about that one. And, reaching out to that local sponsor, who knows, stroking a check for that lunch might turn into something bigger down the road as you build that relationship with the community. Great advice. Dan, as always, if one of our listeners wants to reach out and pick your brain a little bit more, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, like I said on episode 1, I'm just going to give you the personal cell phone number because that's the best way to do it. There's no point to hide. Everyone seems to have it in Florida, which I'm okay with. My cell phone number is 863-661-0647. Again, 863-661-0647. Let me know if I can help you.
And for those of you that don't know, Dan is the certification coordinator for the FIAAA. If you've got questions about LTI courses, the CAA exam, or if you're just looking for a little guidance on that CMAA project, reach out to him. He would be happy to help. Dan, thanks for sharing today, and look forward to seeing you next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
For our listeners, the Zoom recordings of all of our interviews get uploaded to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We appreciate you listening today. Come back again next Thursday for more team building tips, and just about every day for the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time. Once again, we want to thank all of our sponsors for their support. Final Forms, the industry leader in forms and registration. Go to finalforms.com/Jake. Finalforms.com/Jake for more information. I want to thank Sideline Interactive, indoor scoring tables and video boards. Our school in Florida was one of the first to have an indoor scoring table with the LED screen. Check out sidelineinteractive.com. Email them at sales@sidelineinteractive.com. It's a great money-making resource, and it's also creates a great game day experience. Also want to say thanks to Wall of Fame by Vital Signs. The FIAAA has a Wall of Fame video console for their Hall of Fame. And if I was still an athletic director, we would have one at our school. Just a great way to recognize your student athletes, your teams, and your Hall of Fame. Send them an email at sales@vitalsignswalloffame.com. Also want to say thanks to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle. As an athletic director, we were a Huddle school. Our coaches used it for the video, the analytics. We had a Huddle focus camera in our gym. It was fantastic. So that's huddle.com for more information about how to become a Huddle school. Also want to say thanks to Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack. As a private school, we use surveys all the time, and I think more schools need to take advantage of that. The data that you collect from your parents, from your student athletes, it just gives you information to help improve your program. Athleticsurveys.com or email them at info@athleticsurveys.com for more information. And then last but not least, certainly hometown ticketing. I didn't get to experience online ticketing as an athletic director because it came into vogue after or as I was retiring. But I've done a lot of research with ADs and just other schools, and hometown ticketing just does a fantastic job. The product is great, and the customer service is off the charts. So go to hometownticketing.com for more information. Thanks again. We'll see you next week on Team Building Tips.